By the host of this show are his and his alone. They do not reflect those of this network, his employer, any of the universities he attended, his family and friends, or former roommates, any of the 5 Temptations, the 4 Tops, or any number of the Pips. They may or may not reflect those of the other voices in his head. His dog, however, agrees with him 100%. And now, broadcasting from Venture X Studios in Frisco, Texas, it's the Snarky Parenthetical. Here's your host. He's highly caffeinated and mildly irritated. Here's Lathan Watts.
All right. Sorry, wrong movie. Good morning, Vietnam. Also wrong movie. All right.
Hey, there's no wrong movie among those right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome to the Snarky Parenthetical. I'm your host, Lathan Watts. This is episode 1, so thank you all who are tuning in to check us out. I'm going to start out, just say a few thank yous. Thank you first to the JPK Network, JP, Kathy, everybody involved for taking a chance on me and this show. I want to thank everybody who encouraged me to do this. Put a little informal poll up on Facebook not long ago, just asking, hey, what do you think? Should I do a podcast? And if so, what should we talk about? And I got a lot of good responses. Got a lot of good suggestions. What people want to hear. So thank you, everybody who responded. Thank you also to the man, the myth, the legend, Les Harper, for that intro music.
Good stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thank you, Les. Again, some of you wrote, a lot of different things that you wanted us to cover on this show, and to start out with, I'm just going to kind of describe, what the show is going to be, so people, going forward, sort of have some sort of expectation. A lot of you wrote in about some of the stuff that I do in my professional work, that you would like me to cover that here. Let me start out by sort of explaining why I'm not going to do that. This all came about because I come on JP, Kathy, and the crew occasionally for work and talk about the work that I do. But they tend to ask me about other stuff too, and I'm always on there saying, okay, now I'm going to take my work hat off and just talk to you, like the world according to Watts. And apparently when I did that, they got some good responses, and they approached me about, hey, would you want to do a show where you do the world according to Watts and just talk about what you want to talk about? And I was like, yeah, maybe, So the reason why I'm not going to talk about the work stuff, because I want this show to be, number one, the stuff I do for work is pretty serious, and this show is decidedly not serious. The other thing is, if I talk about work and then I move on to other things, it would be really hard for people not to really attribute the other opinions that I might express here to my employer. Hence the disclaimer at the top of the show that starts out serious and then fades into the weird and hopefully you find humorous other disclaimer. So we will occasionally talk about stuff going on in the political world. I come from a political background, worked in politics for a long time, so I got some perspective there. We'll talk about current events, things that are going on. Usually going to do that in the opening segment. Today we're using the opening segment just to sort of explain what's going on here and what you can expect. But usually, top of the show, we'll talk about what's been going on in the world this week. This show will come out at the end of the day on Fridays. Hopefully to give you something maybe to listen to on your drive time home, or when you first get home, start your weekend. So let's start with the name of the show, the Snarky Parenthetical. Where did that come from? I got quite a few comments when we posted that we were going to do the show, and that was the name, and the tagline: highly caffeinated, mildly irritated. The name of the show actually comes from I do quite a bit of writing. in my day job, and the guy who has the office next to me, or at least he did until they moved him to the other end of the building, which I now have to get some steps in to go bug him.
Should get some exercise, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Annoying.
Yeah. What were they thinking? So the guy in the office next to me, he's the one guy that I trust the most as my editor when I write stuff, and he pointed out to me one time. He's like, you've sort of mastered the art of the snarky parenthetical. He's like, you'll typically kind of state the other side's position or what you're talking about, and then the next few sentences are sort of your take on it.
Right.
And he's like, it's kind of like, it's sort of like a boxer. It's like jab, 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 and that big right hand is coming.
Yep.
So he was the one who first sort of coined that phrase. So thank you, Chris Friend. The snarky parenthetical, and it just sort of stuck in my head, and I like the phonetics of it. I just like the way it sounds.
Right. So kind of rolls off the tongue, right?
Yeah, a little bit. So we're going to talk about just sort of whatever's on my mind this week, and I talked a little bit about my background. I'm a huge fan of the art of stand-up comedy. I think that stand-up comics are some of the smartest people in all of entertainment. I think you have to be really, really sharp to do that and do it well. And one of my favorite sort of brands of comedy in the stand-up world are these folks that sort of portray themselves as like the angry comic. They get up and they just sort of rant about what's bugging them.
Yep.
Back in the day, Dennis Leary was a master of that before he started doing, TV and movies and all that. Way before him, I guess, Don Rickles was really an insult comic.
Pioneer.
Yeah. But he had that sort of edge to what he did. And I really like that. It makes me laugh, and it sort of fits my personality a little bit. Bill Burr right now is absolutely killing it doing that.
One of my favorites for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where sort of the feel of the show is coming from, and just so you know, I'm not really angry about these things. That's why it says mildly irritated. I'm not mad. For me to be mad, I would have to care. And I just don't. But there are some things occasionally that I'm like, I'm a little irritated by that. And frankly, I'm a little irritated that you're not irritated by it.
Here's why you should be too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that other voice that you're hearing right now is Stan the Man. He is my producer. He's the guy who does the intro at the top of the show. He'll be chiming in occasionally. We'll just sort of bounce things off of each other. Sort of think of the same dynamic kind of between Howard Stern and Robin on that show, although I'm nothing like Howard Stern and don't pretend to be anything like Howard Stern. I don't really think Stan is much like Robin, although he might occasionally identify as a middle-aged sassy black woman. I don't know.
Every once in a while.
Once in a while? Yep.
Yeah.
See? All right.
I want to feel better about myself. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I may have just gotten us canceled already. Right. Just... so
those we didn't want those people anyway.
Right. Yeah. So since I may have just gotten us canceled, let me issue my once and for all the only apology you'll ever hear on the show.
Everyone's gonna hold you to that now.
Yeah, we'll see. Right.
Yeah.
It is never my intent to offend anyone. Right. This is all just sort of a bit. It is sort of my personality, but it is a little bit of a character on here. Never my intent to offend. But these days, it is so incredibly easy to do so that let me just apologize now if I ever offend you. I didn't mean to, okay? But I'm not really going to lose any sleep over it either. I mean, that's kind of how we're going to do this. So there it is. There's the one and only blanket apology now and forever. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But I do sort of think, sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. And I don't really think that there's anything that should be off limits for people to laugh about. Anything that you can sort of poke fun at, if you can't, then whatever that is, that thing or that person or that topic, whatever that is, that's how you know something has power over you. Somebody tells you you're not allowed to laugh at that, then they've got some sort of whatever that is, that is, that has some power over you.
Exactly.
Right? So
yep.
You know, and you've seen. I mean, even people now are kind of poking fun at some of the stuff going on with COVID and all this other stuff, and you'll get, oh, well, COVID's a serious disease and it's killed. Well, yes, it is. Yes, it has, and nobody's saying that it isn't. But as soon as you decide that that's too serious, we can't laugh about it. It's got control over you, right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
So that's what that's sort of where we're coming from. So what's this? What is this show? What is it going to be? There was a time. I think it was on Comedy Central. There was a show called Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
good stuff.
So I'm already dating myself. Some of you now know exactly probably how old I am or what generation I come from.
I only saw the reruns just to not date myself quite as much.
Yeah, exactly. But that show MST3K, was one guy and two puppets. Watching really, really bad movies and just making fun of them, just making jokes about how bad the movies were. What I would like for this show to be on its better days is like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 for life. Like,
yeah,
here's what's going on, and we're going to sit back and watch a little bit and, make some jokes about it. Take some of the sting out of it maybe. Mm-hmm. So, my goal, like I said, this will come out. We're shooting for 5:30, 6 o'clock on Friday nights. Like I said, drive time home. Maybe listen to it. Hope to give you something to think about. Never my intent to tell you what to think, but here's some things to think about, and hopefully make you laugh. At least chuckle, if not chortle. I don't think there's really. That's a highly underused word, by the way.
It really is.
I don't think there's near enough chortling going on in America right now. Not nearly enough. Yes. So if we need to get some hats and T-shirts made, like "Make America Chortle Again."
There you go.
Yeah,
yes.
that'll be the first merchandise available from.
That's our first campaign right there.
Mm-hmm. So that is that's a little bit about kind of what the show hopes to be, and. Like I said, this first segment will typically be where we talk about, what's going on in the news, maybe some politics, maybe just some current events, whatever's going on, and my take on them. I've been told that I don't exactly sound like a Texan. It's because I'm not. I'm Texan by marriage. The Texan marries a non-Texan. The result is usually new Texan. Right? Texas girls don't say. Texas girls don't stay out of Texas long, and mine didn't either. I'm originally from Northeast Arkansas, Jonesboro, Arkansas, and did law school at Ole Miss. So I picked up maybe a little bit of the Mississippi accent the time that I spent there. Love that. Love the people there. Love that state. So. One of the things we may end up talking about around here is just, not just American culture, but Southern culture. And what makes it unique. I think Southerners have a sort of a deep sense of pride and connection to family. You'll probably hear me talk about my own family a little bit here. So, fair warning. Again, I've already issued my one apology, but fair warning. Because I come from a pretty colorful group of people from Northeast Arkansas. They're dug in like ticks on a hound up there. I'm probably at least fourth or fifth generation Northeast Arkansan. Oof. And Arkansas, if you know anything about the history there, if you go back a few generations in Arkansas, you were probably related to an outlaw of some sort. Because before it was a state, it was just a swamp that people running from the law used to try to escape from the law. So,
right,
Indians and outlaws was basically what was in Arkansas to begin with. Mm-hmm. I think the phrase was no law west of the Mississippi and no God west of the Pecos.
Wow.
So yeah, so my family's got got some colorful characters hidden back there, and the ones that I grew up with, and some of the stories that they told about some of their family members. So we may get into some of that. And so, yeah, that's what I want it to be, and I appreciate everybody, giving this a test run, check it out.
Yep.
We're going to try to do, 3 probably 10-minute segments. We'll try to keep the show about 30 minutes, so it's not a huge commitment of time. Like I said, maybe listen to it on the drive home. And that's what I wanted to do, give you something to smile about, something to think about, and hopefully tell some other people about it. Our show today, sponsored by Callahan Auto Parts, Sandusky, Ohio. They make the Rolls Royce of brake pads.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. There's a reference some of you are going to get. Some of you are going to have to go look it up. That's fine, too. Also probably dating myself. I should also say I have sort of a Rain Man-like ability when it comes to remembering dialogue from movies and song lyrics. And so they just sort of come out when I'm talking, and without even thinking about it. I'm not trying to be hip or cool or a new version of Dennis Miller. I loved Dennis Miller when he was on Saturday Night Live. I didn't get probably half of the jokes at least at the beginning because his references were so obscure. But I sort of felt smart when I did.
Right. That's
not my intent. It just comes out that way. It's just how I speak. I speak sometimes in dialogue or song lyrics. If I could replace the movie dialogue and song lyrics in my brain with actual useful knowledge, I would probably rule the world. I mean, it takes up that amount of space in my head. It drives my wife nuts. Because I watch a movie once and I'll be quoting it the next day. And I'm a big fan, a big movie buff. So we may talk about, some movie stuff. I'm an amateur musician, playing a little band with Les Harper and Sarah Laurie called Faded Blue. We do mostly covers, kind of blues, rock, country. We kind of like that blend where the lines kind of blur between those genres of music. We do a little bit of everything. Work in a few original songs here and there, kind of sneak them into the set when nobody's really paying attention.
Exactly.
So we're definitely going to talk some music stuff on here because it's just part of who I am. As far back as I can remember, music was always around in the house. I have been told I was like 3 years old, so I don't remember it. But I've been told my mother was doing some shopping in the local mall. My great-grandfather happened to be there in the mall. He was just like sitting there with some other old guys. And so she kind of left me with him for a minute, to go do some shopping. And she comes back, and he's got me like standing up on this little bench in the mall singing. And all these old guys are like
whoa,
tossing coins down, right? And I don't know what to do. And he looks at me, he's like, well, pick them up, boy. So.
Gonna let him lie there?
Yeah, exactly. So my first paid singing gig was at 3 in Indian Mall in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which I'm pretty sure has now, they've changed the name because you can't, it's no longer PC.
Yep.
So music's been a big part of my life. And Stan, let me know when I'm getting close to sort of end of segment 1 here. Music's a big part of my life. I can't imagine my life without it. Grew up, my dad was the song leader in every church that I ever went to until I left home for college. Grew up listening to a little bit of everything. A lot of really good country music. Probably my songwriting idols, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, gospel music.
Good stuff.
And then by the time I was a kid, hair metal was probably the first rock and roll that I truly appreciated. But so that's just a little bit of my background, and that sort of lets you know kind of what we're going to talk about on the show. And find us on Facebook, reach out to us, feel free to suggest some stuff that I may or may not take your suggestion, but please go ahead.
Reserve the right to.
Yeah, exactly.
Selective. Yeah.
All right. So, enough about the show. Let's do the show, right? So like I said, it's Friday, so kind of taking a look back at the week back and what's been going on this week. I'm a big sports fan. We're probably going to talk some sports on here. I love college football. So in the fall, it'll be like breathing to me. Like college football will just come out. We will talk college football. It will likely be almost exclusively SEC football. So I realize we're in Texas and this is a Big 12 country. But I have a theory, because I have a theory about pretty much everything, that when you take somebody out of their environment, they become even more of whatever that environment is. It's like you take an SEC guy out of the SEC and plant him in Texas, and he becomes even a more rabid SEC guy.
Right. Just becomes even more ingrained.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I realize there is a Texas team in the SEC now. You got, A&M's been in for a few years, but
The defectors.
Yeah, right. But I think it was actually I heard Mike Myers talk about this when he was talking about his dad and how he sort of wrote the Austin Powers movies for his dad, because his dad was such a Bond fan and such he was an Englishman living in Canada, and he was like, you take an Englishman and you take him out of England and he becomes rabidly English.
Right.
And so
Yep.
That's sort of where that theory comes from. Like, I'm an SEC fan living in Texas, right? So I became an even more rabid SEC fan. So we'll talk some college football in the fall. But this week, the sports story that was big at my house anyway was Phil Mickelson.
Oh, yeah.
Won the PGA, right? 50 years old, nearly 51. Now I think the oldest major championship winner in pro golf history. Stan, do you watch a lot of golf?
I sure do.
Do you now?
I sure do.
That surprises me. I was expecting a no. I was about to say, like, what are you, a communist? Like, yeah, you're a big fan of like South Korean lawn darts on ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Hey, I wouldn't say no to that either. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a fan of everything.
All right.
No, golf in particular, I've always enjoyed. I think it was just a bonding thing for my dad and I. Yeah. Honestly, just watching that.
That's how I got
Sunday afternoon.
That's how I got into it. I didn't start playing golf until I was in college. I was 19, almost 20. And my dad, who had never played golf, he's been in sales most of his career. And I was home for a weekend, and he had been invited by some of his customers to play with them in a foursome in a tournament. And he'd never played golf before. But it's customers, so you got to go, right?
Sure.
And so he did, and he hung out, and entertained them. But he figured, okay, I'm probably going to have to, learn how to play golf. And the house I grew up in was sort of out in the country, sat on 10 acres, well back off the road. And so you could actually hit golf balls in our yard. You could practice from the back of the property to the front of the property. So
comes in handy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I was home for a weekend, and he was out practicing. And so I'm out there talking with him, and picked up a club, kind of swinging it around. He's like, "You want to hit something?" I was like, "I have no idea what I'm doing, but sure, And he told me, what very little he knew about the golf swing, and basically what I had, probably channel surfing, seen somebody swing a golf club. Started hitting some balls and connected with one good swing, right? And you see that ball take off, and
that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's the golf gods trick you into, oh yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what happened. I got one pure swing with a driver, and from the back of the property all the way up to the front of the property, like over the road into the cow pasture on the other side of the property, and I was hooked instantly. I was like, I got to do that again. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, let me try this. So that's I now looking back, I wish I had started earlier. Because I love the game, love the sport. But that's how I got into it. Now, I was in college at the time, like I said. So when I went back to school, there were only really 2 courses in town, and they were both private. Like, you couldn't play there.
Right.
But one of the courses in town would let you use their driving range. And so I was hooked. I mean, I had that fever that every new golfer has. Like,
Oh yeah.
when can I get back to hitting golf balls? And so I was out there at the driving range a lot. And the club pro, who I guess had seen me out there quite a bit, comes up and he's like, "Hey man, I see you out here all the time hitting balls, and I know it's got to be killing you that you can't play this course." And I was like, "Yeah, this, I got to drive halfway to Little Rock to play a course, And
Wow.
and so he's like, "I'll make you a deal." He's like, "You see all the balls on the driving range?" I was like, "Yeah, kind of tough to miss. It's either that or there was a major hailstorm."
Right.
He's like, "Okay, well, I don't have one of those like mini tractor drive cart things to pick up the balls." He's like, "I have to pick them by hand.
Okay.
I've got this little contraption. It's like this metal tube with a bucket on it, and you basically poke the balls, and that's how you pick them up."
Right.
And he's like, "I'm getting old, and I hate doing it. So I'll make you a deal. If you'll come out here and hand pick the range twice a week, I'll let you play out here on the weekends." I was like, sold. Yeah, you are going to lose money, my friend. And he did, because I would go out usually Tuesday and Thursday after class, drop the books off in the dorm room and go straight to the driving range, pick it. And then I'd show up at the crack of dawn on Saturday and just play all day. Just wore that thing out.
That was the only way to do it.
Yeah, and that's where I, sort of learned to play golf. Is where I fell in love with it. So Mickelson wins the PGA on Sunday. Right, almost 51 years old. I like Phil Mickelson. Some people don't, but I really like. And one of the things that I like about him is that when you watch him, like, you don't know if that dude's going to go out and shoot 65 or 85. Like, and I don't think he knows. I really don't think he knows.
Right.
And so it's always entertaining to watch him. And he sort of plays the game the way he gives the impression, anyway, that he's kind of playing the game the way hackers like me play.
Yes.
I'm going to step up here. I don't know where this ball is going, but it's going a long way. I'm going to hit it hard. Right.
Exactly.
And I may make 3 terrible shots on this hole, but if I come up with that one spectacular shot on this hole, I'm still making par. Right?
Exactly.
And that's what every fool like me thinks when they're out there on the golf course. They're like, "Oh yeah, of course, I know I'm in the woods, but watch this though. When I hit this off the pine straw, through these 2 trees, around that bird, and with a little bit of a fade, I can do that." Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part, is that what you just described, he actually does that. He actually pulls it off. And
exactly.
It's like, well, of course, how hard can it be then?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I love, watching him play, and because you don't know what's going to happen, and he attempts shots that I don't think other golfers even conceive of.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because he gets himself into so much trouble, because he doesn't really know where it's going, I don't think, at least some of the time. So, yeah, he's kind of like he's kind of maybe the closest thing to an actual like Tin Cup, like Roy McAvoy from the movie Tin Cup, right? Before him, I would say John Daly was like that when he was sort of at his peak, and Daly you had to watch because this is a train wreck waiting to happen. You really don't know what that guy's gonna do.
Wasn't there a thing where they wouldn't even show him on TV half the time because he'd just be lighting up whole packs,
smoke like a chimney, all the time. Now he's originally from Arkansas, right? So I am then like duty honor bound to be a John Daly fan. Right. Well, he's from Arkansas, so yes, to say nothing of the fact that he was kind of like the Babe Ruth of golf.
Right.
He walked out there, huge gut, like Stan said, half the time he's, smoking cigarettes or stopping at the beer tent.
Right.
And
should not have worked.
Right. but then also like the length off the tee, like would just destroy the ball. It just didn't look like it was ever going to come down. And so he was sort of like that, and that's what I like about him and Mickelson. They're completely different in so many different ways, but that's what I love watching about guys like that.
Right.
And in fact, I went over. I'm from Northeast Arkansas, like I said. So I drove over to Memphis one time to see the St. Jude Classic at Southwind Golf Course in Memphis, and Daly, I went over on a Saturday, hoping to watch Daly, and Daly, I think it was the Friday. He missed the cut because there was like a par 5, and he was trying to get on in 2 over some water, literally kind of like the Tin Cup scene.
Okay.
And he put one in the water, and he dropped one. And he hit another one, put it in the water, dropped. I forget how many he took. He ended up making like a 13 or 14 on the hole, and
Oof.
and then afterwards they asked him about it, and he's like, "Well, did you see that big crowd that was following me today? None of those people paid their hard-earned money to come watch me lay up." And I was like,
Yes.
I can kind of respect that, even though I was pretty ticked that I didn't get to see him play coming in on Saturday. But
Right.
But that Saturday that I was there, so we're walking out, and we're walking past the 18th green, and Fuzzy Zeller is coming up the 18th fairway, and from way off the fairway, like 2 or 3 houses off the fairway, it was kind of quiet, and you just hear this big like redneck accent voice. "Yeah, let's go, Fuzzy!" And everybody turns around, and there's Daly standing in his front yard in shorts and like a wife beater t-shirt, beer in hand, lit cigarette. And Zeller looks over there, and the crowd just goes crazy. And then once it calms down, Zeller's like trying to line up his putt, and some other redneck in the crowd's like, I bet Daly's got a cold one waiting on you, Fuzzy. And the crowd goes crazy again.
Yeah.
But there's so much that I love about that sport. It's
Oh man.
In all the professional sports, it is the one that is probably the closest to an actual meritocracy. You don't play well the first 2 days, you're not playing the second 2 days.
Right.
You end up in the top 10, you make some good money. You're in the bottom 10, you don't make a whole lot of money.
Exactly.
Right? They get endorsements like everybody else, but it's not like, you come out of college and turn pro and sign a $100 million deal based on what you might do.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You actually are out there earning your keep.
Yep.
So I like that.
Yeah.
And it has, for the most part, managed to stay mostly apolitical.
Yes.
As opposed to every other professional sport. Like, please just play ball. Like,
Exactly.
I was really this is where I come to retreat from the rest of that. Can I just watch you play?
This is our escape from that world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't cared about the NBA really since Larry Bird retired. I was a massive Larry Bird fan, massive Celtics fan back in the day. The 85-86 Celtics, I would still put up as maybe the best team that has ever been put on a court. I know Jordan's Bulls won more championships. I know Magic's Lakers, all of that. But the way a team plays basketball together, I would put that team up against anybody.
Yeah.
I was just about starting to think, hey, I could start watching the NBA again. Like the Golden State team was really fun to watch. Steph Curry.
They were.
And this new kid in Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Can't even say enough about him.
he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He actually seems to be enjoying playing basketball. Like, he's got a smile on his face.
Right.
I was just about there, and then they went political again. And
Yep.
look, I don't even care what the political stance is, right? I'm not saying one way or another on what they're talking about.
Sure.
I don't care about your opinions. I just want to watch you play ball, right?
Exactly.
So, Luka, keep doing what you're doing. I might eventually, watch a few games, and so yeah, that's the other thing that I really like about pro golf. So
That's a good point.
How are we on time? We're good.
Couple more minutes if we
All right.
want to try to keep it to about 30 minutes.
All right, good deal. Because there's one other thing that I want to mention about Mickelson and the PGA. Because
Okay,
I
perfect.
loved it. I love that he won. Love that he kept it together. Love that he was battling Brooks Koepka in that final round. But speaking of Brooks
Villain.
Koepka, all right.
Yep.
I think one of the best things going in sports right now is the feud between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. And if you saw
Classic.
the leaked video of Brooks trying to do his post-round interview, and he's like mid-sentence, and DeChambeau just walks through the shot behind him, and the look of disdain on Brooks Koepka's face, like he didn't even try to hide it. Just put his head down, just had to stop for a minute, and just comes back and he tells the reporter, he's like, I just completely lost my train of thought because of this. And then he dropped a couple of four-letter words. I love it. I love that feud. I think it's great for the sport. I think it makes it even more entertaining. Their whole
absolutely.
they got into sort of like a little Twitter spat a few months ago.
Yep.
I don't even remember what started it. But DeChambeau, who's now like the Mark McGuire of golf,
Right.
And no, I may or may not be implying that he's juicing. I mean, the guy put on like 40 pounds of muscle in 1 year or whatever. I don't know.
Seems suspicious.
Yeah, I'm not a DeChambeau fan.
Right.
But their little spat, whatever they were fighting about, DeChambeau made some comment about Koepka's physique or something and mentioned
Right.
like a six-pack. And Koepka's response, he takes a picture of his 4 major championship trophies and replies back, "Yeah, I'm too short of a six-pack."
Oh,
Just like, I love this. We need more of this.
which, speaking of, that's another reason to watch golf over a lot of these others, because the NBA, all you see nowadays is in the off season, all these guys are buddies.
Yeah.
There's no real rivalries anymore.
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. They're all just, hey, we're all in the same fraternity.
Kicking back on the banana boat, all this kind of stuff.
All hanging out together, like LeBron and Dwayne Wade and everybody, making these super teams to go win championships.
Right.
Can you imagine the response that Larry Bird would have given if somebody said, "Hey, what do you think about like going to the Lakers and playing with Magic?" I cannot say on the air what that guy would have said.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, and same for Magic. He wouldn't have done that. He wanted to
course
beat
not.
that guy. Like,
Right.
I'm a Celtic. That's the Lakers. That is our mortal enemy. Like, we don't.
Yes.
No, I would rather die than put on purple and gold. Right. Like,
Exactly.
you don't have that anymore. To say nothing of, you just look at somebody cross-eyed and you get, a flagrant foul in the NBA. You go back and watch
it's ridiculous.
the playoffs between Lakers Celtics in the championship or our Celtics Pistons, how many fights there were, the hard fouls. I mean, it's just a completely different league, a completely different
Right.
game, and I don't really like it. So
Hot take of the day.
yeah, right. There's a surprise. So that's why I love golf.
Yep.
All right. So moving on, as they say in Monty Python, and now for something completely different.
That's pretty good. That's,
Yeah,
that sounded about right.
Yeah, not bad. So, like I said, I'm not really angry about this. At first, I was sort of intrigued by it, and then a little bit irritated. And this is just gonna third segment every week is gonna be something kind of like this. Like,
Right.
here's something that I noticed recently, and then here's what I think about it. So, a few weeks back in the office, getting coffee because we have to be highly caffeinated.
That's right.
And I'm looking for creamer. I can't find any. And the only thing that I can find is this carton in the refrigerator of almond milk. Okay? Now,
Interesting.
so I couldn't bring myself to put it in the coffee. And here's why. Because I don't know what it is. I know what it says that it is.
Right.
Almond milk. Okay? But I don't know what this is. I know what it's not. It's not milk.
Right.
But you're calling it milk. And how are you getting away with that? It can't be
Right.
milk from an almond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like almonds.
That's
I like milk.
Sure.
But this is not milk. Whatever it is, it's not that. Like, I just don't know what this
Right.
is. From a scientific standpoint, I know what type of matter it is. It's a liquid. But where does what is it?
yeah. I don't understand the biology of that. How do you? How are you getting milk from a nut?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, nothing against almonds. I have probably eaten, I have no idea, thousands of almonds in my lifetime. I like almonds. I didn't conduct a close examination of each almond that I ever ate, but I don't recall ever seeing one with a nipple. So then how is this milk? Because I think even upon a cursory examination of the almond, I would remember if I started to put an almond in my mouth and it had an udder on it.
Yeah,
Right?
you know that. Yeah, That wouldn't be something you'd forget, right?
Yeah,
there.
I would think, right? So this is not milk. I don't know what it is. What is it? And another thing, we have an entire agency of the federal government called the Food and Drug Administration that does nothing but regulate food and drugs, right down to what you can put on the label. You have to, what you have to put all the ingredients, how many calories it is. There's no telling. God knows how many bureaucrats work in the Food and Drug Administration, and not one of them saw this coming. Like, they just let this slide. Like, yeah, you can call it
Seems
milk.
legit, yeah.
Yeah, just put like an asterisk on there somewhere with a little disclaimer at the bottom that says, not milk. It's not. I don't know what it is, and that bothers me. And then just the other day, channel serving, I think I was probably watching some home renovation show on HGTV. Don't judge. Don't judge me. If you're coming here to judge me, this is not the show. Okay.
He's a family man, folks. He's
right. I mean, I'm a man of a certain age, and it's just sort of the law. You got to start watching HGTV. That's just what you do. Just like eventually you move to Florida, you put stark white shoes and black socks on. At a certain age, you start that transition, and I think the first sign of it is you're watching HGTV. So there it is. I'm a grumpy, much older man in the body of a middle-aged man.
It has begun.
It's begun, exactly. So that's probably what I was watching, and a commercial comes on for an almond milk product, right? And it's Simply Almond Milk. Right now, I get that's the name of the brand, right? They've got Simply Orange, they got Simply Pineapple, Simply Fruit Punch, and it's Donald Sutherland is the voiceover. Great voice.
Okay. They're paying some top dollar for that.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and so they've got the bottle up there, and you got Donald Sutherland's smooth voice comes on there and says it's Simply Almond Milk, and I'm sitting there. This just give you a little sneak peek into my life. I basically start yelling at the TV. There's nothing simple about this. It can't be Simply Almond Milk because almond milk doesn't exist because there's no such thing as almond milk. So if you somehow came up with this product, and I guarantee you there was nothing simple about it. So where do you get off calling it Simply Almond Milk? No, it isn't. There's no way it's simple. There's nothing simple about that because there had to be some sort of either highly technical and or witchcraft involved.
There's some kind of lab somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. That brings me to yet another food product that I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Cheetos.
Okay.
I love Cheetos. They're great. Right? They're delicious. I do know they're delicious. I know that they are delicious cheese-flavored something. But I don't know what it is. Like, what is that in the bag? In that weird shape, covered in orange cheese dust.
Right.
They're delicious. I like them. They wanted to sponsor this show, I would have a big old bag of them. But I don't know what it is. Does anybody really know what that is? Like, it's a solid, right?
Solid
the same
matter.
way that almond milk is a liquid.
We know that much.
But we don't know what it is. What is it? These things bother me. And it bothers me a little bit that it doesn't bother you.
There's just something about that texture. Yeah, it's
that is
not natural.
I don't know what it is. It's crunchy air. I don't know. Like, what did it start out as to come into this
the closest
beautiful,
thing I
delicious
can think of that I could relate it to would be a packing peanut. And that worries me.
Right? Yeah. I mean, am I ingesting styrofoam? Beautiful, delicious, orange, cheese-dusted styrofoam? I don't know. But I mean, did they come up with it in a lab somewhere? Like, because if they did, somebody deserves a Nobel Prize.
Right.
That's just...
I mean, they're giving them out for much lesser things nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, you got elected. We think you're going to do great things. Here's a Peace Prize. We know you haven't done anything yet. But here you go. Now, somewhere, who makes Cheetos? Is it Frito-Lay? Is that the big parent company? If so, there's some guy way back when that got totally ripped off by the Nobel
without a
committee. Like, certainly should have at least been in the running. Like, he should have at least gotten to say it was an honor to be nominated, right?
Oh, Time Magazine cover, I would say.
Yeah, you came up with delicious cheese-flavored substance that nobody knows what it is, and everybody loves it. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Cheetos.
Yeah.
And nobody even thinks to question it. That's what bothers me, folks. Right. That's what you're in for if you stick around for segment 3 every week. It's going to be something like this, and no apologies.
Right.
It bothers me. These things bother me.
Right.
And that's what I'm here to just sort of.
Is anyone thinking about this?
Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. Somebody want to explain it to me, feel free. Reach out to us. Find the show on, hey, look at there. I know that guy.
There he is.
Yeah. Find the show. Explain to me Cheetos and almond milk. And who knows? You might be a guest on the show.
Hey, if someone can look up and find out who it was that actually, because I bet Frito-Lay just bought it from whoever
probably so
the original inventor was.
Yeah.
We got to find that guy. At least give him a shout out.
Some dude in his kitchen somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of a comic book. Right. There's tragic accident.
Yeah.
He looks up. There's something laying in the skillet. And he's like, what is that?
Yes.
That looks incredibly crunchy and orange.
He tries to deny his true destiny and starts seeing orange, weird, bubbly shaped things everywhere he goes, and just can't escape it.
Yeah, he keeps coming back. He tries to reinvent it. Can't do it.
Yep.
One night, house gets struck by lightning again. All of a sudden, there's the Cheeto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my theory.
Got to be something like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll track him down, or someone will, if anyone out there can.
All right. How we doing on time?
That's about a wrap right there.
All right. Then I had one more thing I was going to talk about sports-wise that just sort of irks me. We'll save that for maybe either segment 2 or segment 3 next week. So we're going to kind of wrap it up for this week. Thank you all for giving us a shot on our trial run. Hopefully you heard something that, like I said, maybe makes you chuckle a little bit, gives you something to think about, and thanks for coming over. And we'll be back next week with more serious analysis of things that are really important in life. That's
as serious as we can get.
Yeah, that's it.
While we're highly caffeinated.
And mildly irritated. It's the Snarky Parenthetical on the JPK Network. Thank you all. We'll see you next week.